Welcome my friends! Pilot Tony here at your service. We're back with more TTBurger game reviews here on YouTube, another TTBurger Remastered game review, another one-part review here, episode 16, part 1 of one part. Today we're looking at a flying game. We've played a lot of flying games. Those of you who probably grew up with flying games probably grew up with like Microsoft's Flight Simulator, or Ace Combat on the PlayStation, or so on and so on. But today's flying game is different from other flying games. This is an adventure flying game, developed by Cap Production and published by Activision. A launch title for the PlayStation 2 here, we got it right here. This is the one and only Sky Odyssey, for the PlayStation 2 exclusively on November 15th, 2000 or 2000, whatever you want to call it. Let's get started here. Sky Odyssey, an underrated gem never to be forgotten about if you owned a PlayStation 2 at launch. There were many flying games for the Sony consoles at the time, but a lot of them were flight combat oriented. Sky Odyssey is an adventure flying game similar to like Indiana Jones but in aircraft. You play as a pilot, you go on missions to land at destinations in a region composed of 4 islands with wild weather patterns. The 4 islands are Arcadia Island, the Temperate Island, Blanc Island, the Snowy Mountain Range Island, Corn Island, the humid subtropical island, and finally Destiny Island, which is the final island where an unknown world lies, where many pilots have tried to conquer but all have failed. Here's where we get into the story. The story, like I said, is Indiana Jones aircraft style, and I like it. It's really interesting if you ask me. The story is you are a pilot, exploring these 4 islands to find pieces of a lost map that lead to the lost Tower of Maximus on Destiny Island that's said to lie sleeping. No one has seen it with their own eyes. Pilots from all over the world, explorers and adventurers have come in search for the lost Tower of Maximus, but no one has returned alive. So, you are a pilot tasked to go into these dangerous areas to find these ruins with the map pieces to find Maximus, and land, and return home. The story is mainly told through background information with still images of the areas and mission briefing scenes where you're given a general description of what to do and where to go and etc. The missions mainly consist of you navigating in area, landing at the landing area at the end of the mission. Other missions have you rendezvous with a refueling train to refuel your aircraft because your fuel tank sprung a leak, along with rescuing a balloon that's sending out a SOS signal, and landing on an aircraft carrier to receive a set of pontoons for your aircraft to use in a later mission. And also you have missions where you need to dump fuel to clear a mountain range, along with dropping packages for residents in an area, and more. But you'll mainly be flying to locations, finding pieces of the lost maps to Maximus in the ruins. The missions, most of them are long and will take at least 10-15 minutes to get through. You have a choice of 3 aircrafts in the beginning to choose from. You have the main plane, the Swordfish Mark 1 Custom, which is what we're using here for this review. You have the Pulse Jet Test Type, and the BF-109 Custom. There are 7 other planes to unlock. You need to figure out how to do that because I am not going to spoil it, because this is the review. Then we get into the main part of the game, the Adventure Mode, which I already explained most of the game already, but there is more. In Adventure Mode, yeah, you need to land at the landing areas, but there are obstacles in the way, like flying low to avoid strong gusts of wind or lightning, also flying through air currents to increase your speed to get to the next island before sundown, and another where it has you refueling with an air tanker in mid-air to refuel your aircraft to make it to the next island. Along the way, you have checkpoint rings that are located throughout the certain areas in each mission. There are 2 sets of rings, yellow and white. Both are pretty much the same, except when you fly to a yellow ring, it tells you the name of the location. The rings are located in dangerous areas, so feel free to skip the ones that are too dangerous for you to fly through. I try to fly through as much of them as I can, all of them if I can. You can also earn acrobatic points for performing rolls, loops, and low altitude flights, and more. The more points you earn, the higher your score will be. At the end of each mission, you're given a grade, which is A, B, C, or D. Kinda like how it is in school, except for there's no F. The grades you're given depend on how fast you beat the mission. If you beat the mission under the target time and you get enough acrobatic points and pass through all the checkpoint rings, you get an A ranking. If you do the same but not get all the rings or not that many points and get damage to your aircraft, you get a B grade. C grade is the same, just not any points and lots of damage. You beat the time limit, you get a C. D grade, you go over the target, that is an automatic D. If you get a B or higher, you can unlock parts for your aircraft. Choose wisely, you can only pick 1 part for each mission you complete. Also, when you beat the game, you get this radar that can show hidden runways for you to get secret parts for your aircraft and more. There are other modes as well that are enjoyable. Target mode is simple, fly through 1 set of 2 targets, blue or red, and land at the designated runway before the time runs out. Upon completing this mode, you get a new aircraft. Also, we have Sky Canvas, which is one of the most interesting modes. In Sky Canvas mode, you draw designs in the sky by releasing smoke from your aircraft. This mode is pretty hard, especially for newcomers. You will not draw the perfect design, but if you come close and get a high score, you can move on to the next stage. You will draw tons of designs, starting with a straight line, an eagle-out triangle, a diamond, the infinity symbol, which is my favorite, an eagle-out pentagon, a heart, a clock, a face, and more. It is cool to draw stuff in the sky. When you fill the stages, get the free stage, you can draw whatever you want. Draw the American flag, draw the Mona Lisa, draw the Big Dipper for all you want. But whatever you want, it's cool. Then you have free fly, which needs no introduction. You can fly around freely in a mission field in adventure mode. You can also mess around with the weather too. The controls are smooth. Your control schemes, easy and normal, both work really well. You can use both directional pad and analog sticks to move. Square button, you take off and start your engine. X button slows your speed down. The select button is your camera option, but you don't have to use it that much. The L1 R1 buttons push them together to hold them to brake. That will come in handy for landing. Landing is the trickiest part, but nothing anyone can't handle. The game comes with a lot of content with these modes, but we'll have to talk about the other aspects of the game before we can give it a rating. Graphics are good for the most part, but have some problems. First, the goods though, the aircraft models look very detailed and the animation of them looks smooth, especially on the Swordfish Mark 1 Custom, which is the main aircraft. The breathing scenes are my favorite. The way they look blocking pixelated is the best part. It makes the game seem easy, but it is not that easy, lol, and that is what I enjoy about them. The weather effects look awesome at the same time. You cannot get better weather effects than this. And even the cutscenes look nice too. They took advantage of the PlayStation 2's hardware at the time. Now the negatives of the graphics. The environments are not the best. Sure, the water and the environments look good, and the ruins with the map pieces are decent, but for the most part the environments look very last gen, like the foliage doesn't move and the grass and stuff all looks bland. The draw distance does not extend very far, it's like it's hidden in fog. And also the frame rate, while smooth for the most part, can bog down when environmental objects collapse, fall, or break and you're close up. The worst part of the PlayStation though is the crash effects on the aircraft. When you crash, it explodes into a million pieces, making it look unrealistic. I know it's a game and all, but if you look at games like Microsoft Flight Simulator that came out before this, they had better crash effects. Sound is better than the graphics. Music is the best part. I love the chanting music in the briefing scene, and the in-game music is just as great. The chanting is the best part because you only hear these songs in the briefing scene, but there is no sound test option to listen to them. The music as a whole is awesome, like Indiana Jones flying as a theme. Some of the music is haunting sounding and can give people nightmares, but I love the music though. The music was composed by Kow Otani, who also composed the music for the PlayStation 2 game Shadow of the Colossus and the Gamera films and various anime. We also have voice setting done by one person who gives the direction and the briefings on what to do in each mission. Richard Belgrade is the voice actor in Sky Odyssey. Those of you who know who he is, he did work for Count Alucard and Castlevania Symphony of the Night, along with voice within the Tekken franchise, and Soul Blade as Rocket Arms and Mega Man X7 and more. In the PAL version though, it is a woman, and I don't know who does it in the Japanese version. The sound effects like the motor of the aircraft sound good also. I mentioned the gameplay already, I mentioned all the positives earlier, but now we have the negatives to talk about. Some of the missions are long and hard with no checkpoint system at all, and some of them are too short, like the Heart of Mine where you just slam the strip mine and the level is over in about 2 minutes. If you die, you go all the way back to the beginning of the mission. Only 3 planes available to start, and the ones you do unlock are not worth it. Some of them are cool, like a gold and silver UFO and other types of aircraft, but they have no unlockable parts. When you beat the game, you cannot replay all the missions at once, you have to unlock them again. But now, we got that out of the way, got everything we talked about Sky Odyssey. Before we can even give it a rating here, let's go to our TTBurger pros and cons chart here. For the TTBurger pros, we have fun and innovative gameplay with an adventure and exploration and flight game instead of a combat. Indiana Jones like story in an aircraft where you explore rooms to find pieces of the lost map that lead you to the lost tower of Maximus. 4 big islands to explore with different weather patterns to each of them. A very detailed aircraft model, especially the Swordfish Mark 1 Custom, which is the main aircraft. Unlockable parts for your aircraft when you get an A or B grade. Good controls with 2 different control schemes. Excellent weather effects that add realism to the game. And aside from the adventure mode, you have 3 other modes of playability, including target mode, stack canvas mode, and free flight mode. Richard Belgrade as a narrator fits the game perfectly like a glove. Kow Otani composed the music and is some of the best in a video game. Overall fun and innovative flying game with adventure added to it. Now for the TTBurger cons. Some of the missions are either too long or too short. No checkpoint system whatsoever. Only 3 aircraft available in the beginning. Pontoons for your aircraft only used in 1 mission. The graphics are not very good in environments with low quality foliage and short draw distance. The crash effects are terrible where your aircraft explodes into pieces. Unlockable aircraft are not really that worth it since there are no unlockable parts to them. And there's no sound test option to listen to the music. Like, it would be nice to hear that enchanting music that you hear in the briefing and stuff, but that's just me though. Final thoughts: if you want a flying game with PlayStation 2 at launch, Sky Odyssey should not disappoint. Now, when I originally reviewed this game for my second episode, I gave it a perfect 10. But as I played it again, I realized there were some problems that I never really looked at here. So I'm gonna have to take some points off here this time and give it a 9 out of 10. The best score I can give it for sure, and it's definitely worth it for sure, definitely. And that's it for this episode of TTBurger Remastered Game Review. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll have another game review or another TTBurger Remastered game review. All I can say is Tony, peace and out, have a great day, see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody. What am I doing? Did I do it right?